at this enormously potent work of batik, I see mainly bars in the background of a very startled lady. Could you perhaps say why you make a person sitting in front of bars with feminist symbols on her breast?
Well, probably, Keri, the bars are somewhat accidental. They're not particularly symbolic of anything.
Yeah.
Like, they really looked good. It's part of my own environment.
I see.
Like in the house where I live at Ring Terrace, that is one of the windows in the lounge.
Yeah.
And so I chose to use that. Like most of my batiks are very personal. Well, all of my batiks are very personal. And the women that I do are women that I really love and care about. And the women that surround me that I live with. And
so all the women we'll see in your future batiks are women that you know and care about?
Well, most of them are. Like, I find it very difficult to intrude on women that I particularly will do batiks of women. I'm not interested in doing ones of men because basically they're women in my life.
Right.
And I'm surrounded by so many women who are very strong.
Yes.
That's very important to me. I want to portray something of their strength and their beauty and the power that women have. And I have so many women around me that I see in these dimensions that I don't feel the need to go out particularly at the moment and capture women that I don't personally know. But I'm not saying that I'll never do that.
True. Batik in New Zealand is a different kind of art. It's not something that is normal, indigenous to our kind of culture. Where did you come across it?
Well, the man that I was married to, that I had been married to for 10 years, started doing batik in about 1972.
Yes.
And I watched him for about 3-4 years doing batik and really admiring the work he did.
Yes.
But never seeing that I would be able to do something like that myself.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't till I was living with him in Malaysia, a foreign culture, I didn't have anyone to relate to, and I felt very desperate.
Oh, you were isolated completely from all that you knew.
Right, and it was also a time when I was becoming very, very aware of my anger and about the way women are in society, the oppression of women, and I was feeling it particularly myself in that culture because it's a place where women are really treated like much more overtly in a sexist manner than here. Yeah. Like I felt all the time that I was being raped on the streets, and I felt like, you know, not actually, but metaphorically.
Oh, of course, I you wouldn't go out and be raped on the street every day.
So it was a time when I had so much inside me that was needing to be let out.
Yes.
I'd never actually done any batik or drawing before, and I started doing a bit of yoga, and there was this sudden eruption of images that I really had to express.
Yes.
And batik was the obvious way to do it because I'd seen the whole process, and once I started doing it, it came quite easy to me, I suppose. Like colours were very difficult for a long time. I used to go to bed and dream about them for days and worry and wonder what colours I was going to use and what. But it really gave expression to the feelings that I had in a very powerful way. And at first I thought that was something that came to me from outside, being able to express myself like that. And I thought that once I'd finished this particular series that I'd never be able to do it again. And after that period it took me about a year to get the confidence to try again. And it's still taken me about 5 years to learn to feel really confident that it will continue.
Wait, so you've had at least 7 years experience in
Well, it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's only been through constant feedback from other women and from Linga that I've felt that what I've been doing is really good. And I've felt a continuing need to really capture real images of women as they are in my batiks.
I find looking at this batik in particular and other ones you have on display in this particular exhibition, that the women are both static but very strong. You know, you have captured a centeredness of women. Do you think you've made some kind of innovation?
Well, I think it's really hard to say. I think this sort of image of women is coming through with the feminist movement and women becoming more aware of their own strength. Like the strong women that I have come through my own feminist strength and centeredness. And I'm seeing that more in other women. But they're certainly very different from the traditional images of women as being beautiful, you know, like the traditional beauty, the way that men like to see women portrayed. I don't want to show women in that way.
The other examples of batik I have seen have been strictly traditional. They've shown Indonesian, Malaysian, or other Micronesian techniques which don't really relate to what happens in a country like New Zealand, for instance. You tend to bring this particular art of batik home.
Well, this is my heritage. I mean, I'm not from the East where it grew up.
Yeah.
So I'm using this medium in my own environment and bringing to it my own personal feelings and statements. You know, I do want to make a statement with my batik, and I want to share it mainly with women. I want women to see themselves reflected in a really strong way.
Do you have any kind of anecdote that you can relate in respect to
Oh, I can't think of anything offhand.
You've never, for instance, have women say to a batik poster, a drawing, what do you call it, art example of yours, and say, "Hawaii, that's just the way I feel." I'm thinking of particularly one you drew in Dunedin, which showed in a Prussian blue, a chained woman.
Chained woman?
Yes.
No, that wasn't mine.
It wasn't
No,
yours.
no,
It was
Lega's,
Lega's,
yeah, yeah.
Well, that was highly effective. I always did think it was yours, Carol.
No, it wasn't. Yeah. No, he was doing, I suppose, making very strong statements based on the experiences that he'd gone through with me, but no, it didn't relate to what I was doing.
Do you find it assisted or hindered your own work, that particular statement?
Well, I think I've always felt in shadow of him, and I think this is what a lot of women feel, that I always really admired what he did and I thought it was wonderful. I never thought that I could do anything like it.
But you've gone beyond that.
Well, whenever he was around, I couldn't do anything. It was only in times when I'd been away from him, even though he gave me a hell of a lot of feedback. I always thought, well, gosh, you know, what am I doing? It's not worth much. And it's only in the last year or so that I felt that I really, you know, what I'm doing is equal to his, and it's different. Yeah.
Right.
It's taken a long time.
But you've come there.
Yeah, I feel that I have. I feel very good about it now.
Come on.
Okay, Nancy. Great.